Welcome to the BEASTwriter podcast. I am your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we're going to be discussing the Dante Pettis trade rumors. For those who don't know, Dante Pettis is now on the trade block. No surprise there. I think he was on the trade block for a while now, but it just got leaked out that he's actually on the trade block today. I mean, when you're deactivated game after game, you're a healthy scratch for the Super Bowl. The team brings in Mohamed Sanu this year because you're depleted at wide receiver and you don't have any trust in Pettis. That says a lot about their confidence in the 2018 second round pick that they traded up for. Doesn't bode well for Dante Pettis. Not saying he's not a good player, not saying he can't get it done, but again, if you're not going to use him, why stash him away? For what, a rainy day? It was already rainy when they brought in Mohamed Sanu, so how much worse can it get? Just saying, it can't get any worse. And then, for a confidence standpoint, from Dante Pettis' point of view, he's almost looking like, what the F, man? Come on, dude. Like, really? Are you serious? You're going to bring in this Mohamed Sanu guy when you already have me? You know, Coach Kyle Shanahan was talking highly about me, and then I'm not seeing the field, and then I don't know what's going on. I don't know. It's a lot of mixed messages, mixed signals. So, at the end of the day, coaching staff has their mind made up. They don't want Dante Pettis, and I think they want something in return because at the end of the day, he does have value. Aside from being a deep speed threat outside the numbers, he also brings versatility in the return game. And for those who want to know about specialists, especially in the special teams, you want to be able to return the football. You want to be able to cover kicks. You want to be able to do more than whatever your positional unit requires, because the more you can do, the better off you'll be, the higher, greater chances that you'll retain and be on a NFL roster. All right. So before I go into the potential trade partners, and I have three of them. So I have three potential trade partners. Excuse me. I don't just throw out teams out there. You know, I do the research. I talk to people in NFL circles. I also connect the dots, going back to how they would fit in the locker room dynamic, the cultural dynamic of the team. Are they a scheme fit based on what their offense is trying to do or defense is trying to do? And then I formulate my game plan. Okay, well, how likely are these teams actually going to push for this trade for that player? All right. So, starting with Dante Pettis, let's talk about the player, right? So, we just went ahead and talked about his returnability. We talked about his deep speed. But a lot of people forget the returnability is such a factor because he returned 9 punts for touchdowns. 9 punts. That's a lot. In fact, that's an NCAA school record. No one has done that in NCAA history. He set the school record for punt returns for touchdowns. That alone says, okay, if you don't pan out as wide receiver, at least you can return punts. Because anyone who played football or any type of competitive sport in open space, whether it be rugby, you know damn well that when you're in open space, that's not coachability. That's ability to get upfield. That's your instincts. That's your God-given ability to work with what you have with your lateral agility and so forth. So there's no skill needed outside of God-given ability and your instincts to make plays as a return man. Plain and simple. That doesn't have to be coached up. It's already ingrained in your DNA. So Dante Pettis is an intriguing prospect simply because he can return punts, if not anything else. So if you are one of these three teams that I will mention in a little bit that sees return value, if he doesn't pan out as a wide receiver, that's kind of an added element to your offensive system that you can kind of account for in the future. All right. So getting back to Dante Pettis, 2018 second round pick, and the team traded up for him. This is what he's done, all right? He has 38 career receptions for 576 yards and 7 touchdowns. Now, when you break that all down, what does that come out to? 15.2 yards per catch. Not bad for Dante Pettis. Not bad for anyone if you actually think about it. So, people are hitting me up on Twitter saying, oh, Dante Pettis is horrible. He's soft. He doesn't know how to block. There has to be something wrong with Dante Pettis. And I'm not saying that any of that's not true. I'm just saying it's a small sample size to pull from when, look guys, we can go back and forth, pros and cons of Dante Pettis, right? I always look at it as the glass is half full, right? Let's look at the facts. He's not seeing the field for whatever reason, right? But when he is on the field, he is getting open. It's just that the quarterback is not throwing his way. So to put that all on Dante Pettis' shoulders, it's not his fault. I mean, this is not a game of watching Little Giants, the 1994 movie, where the quarterback is throwing the football and then he's over there trying to catch the football himself. Like, this is not that game. Like, you can't throw to yourself, bro. This is the NFL. Like, it doesn't work that way, right? So Dante Pettis can only do with the opportunities he has given, and he hasn't been getting very many. His rookie season, he had 5 touchdowns. So 7 of those touchdowns came on his rookie year. 5 touchdowns. It's just amazing to me to see his fall in this offense when Kyle Shanahan specifically targeted him, thinking that he was going to be what Deebo Samuel was, what Brandon Ayuk is today. And unfortunately, it just hasn't panned out for him in San Francisco for whatever reason. So now we're going to talk about the 3 teams and why these 3 teams are... Here, I got hit up right here. Put that on silent. Okay, so now I got 3 teams for you guys, all right? So let's start off with the first team. All right, the first team I have is the Philadelphia Eagles. One, they run an RPO, so they're a good scheme fit for what Dante Pettis likes to do. Doug Peterson likes to throw the ball deep. We all know he likes to run off the play-action pass, and Carson Wentz can get the ball there. So Dante Pettis would be a nice addition. If you watched last night's game, Deshaun Jackson is out again because he has a high ankle sprain on the late hit that was, in my opinion, dirty. But at Deshaun Jackson's age right now, I don't see him being a long-term investment. He's been hurt all year. He was hurt with a hamstring injury earlier in the year. Now he has a high ankle sprain. I mean, his legs are pretty much done. When he's on the field, he's great, but he can't stay on the field. So at this point, the Eagles were in such bad shape even before Deshaun Jackson's injury, because Jalen Reagor was also hurt, their first-round pick, that they had to bring up Travis Fulgham from the practice squad. And luckily, Travis Fulgham is balling out of control. So outside of Travis Fulgham, they'll have nobody. Bring in Dante Pettis, you have somebody. At least a ray of hope. I don't know, makes sense. All right, so also, Howie Roseman is also in talks of trading Zach Ertz. That's been reported that he might be on the trading block. So if Zach Ertz playing on the last year of his contract, you don't even have your best tight end, who's a top 5 tight end in the NFL, playing in the last year of her contract right now. You really have no receiving threats moving forward, which means the NFL draft and free agency are the 2 likely scenarios where you're going to have to find those replacements. But Dante Pettis is on a rookie contract, which means he comes on the cheap. His rookie contract expires in 2021, which means you can get him on the cheap. It's a low-risk, high-reward investment. If he doesn't pan out wide receiver, you can always try him as a return man, plain and simple. All right, so that's why Eagles are a front-runner for Dante Pettis' service. They also gave him a formal combine interview coming out of the University of Washington. That's to keep an eye on, as well as Rich Scangarello. Yes, Rich Scangarello. He was also with the 49ers during his tenure when Dante Pettis was there, and now he's an Philadelphia Eagles offensive assistant. So if he really wanted something and saw something in Dante Pettis during his time in San Francisco, I'm sure he could make some house calls and be like, hey, look, what's the scoop on Dante Pettis? Like, does he still have it? Why are you guys thinking about trading him? Is he coachable? Like, what is going on with this kid? If they like what they hear, they might pull the trigger. All right, so there's some little dialogue that can go on that way. All right, second team, let's bring up the New England Patriots. All right, the New England Patriots, just like the Philadelphia Eagles, don't have much outside their wide receiver one. Julian Edelman has been the bread and butter for the majority of the better part of the last 7-10 years, I don't know, and they really haven't had much else. They don't have Tom Brady now. Cam Newton is in at quarterback, so what do? Well, like I said, the Tom Brady Bill Belichick era is over. The Cam Newton era has begun. If you look at Bill Belichick and what he does and how he gets his players in best position to make plays, he will tell you that it doesn't matter what kind of scheme you're running. If you're a true 3-4, set on being a 3-4 defense, but your personnel dictates more as a 4-3 over, then that's what he'll do. He'll rotate it. Some coaches in the NFL will be like, no, we're playing a 3-4. If you can't play it, we're going to ship you out. It happened when Chip Kelly was head coach back in 2016. They moved a lot of players from a 3-4 base, from a 4-3 base to a 3-4 base, and they moved Ronald Blair, believe it or not, to outside linebacker. Yes, if you go back, they tried moving Ronald Blair to outside linebacker. So, look how that turned out for the San Francisco 49ers. Not very well, right? So, not against Ronald Blair, he's a great player. I think he could play that position, but you get what I'm trying to go with. You always have to adapt to your players' strengths and not tailor to their weaknesses, because good coaches will adapt to your players' personnel, right? The personnel that you're dealt with, all right? So that's what Bill Belichick will do. Why do I bring that up? Well, Cam Newton in 2015 had a career season. If you remember, he went to the Super Bowl that season. And who do he have at wide receiver? Former 49ers, Ted Ginn Jr., who had a career year. And what does Ted Ginn Jr. bring to the table? Returnability and speed outside the numbers. What does Dante Pettis bring? Speed at receiver and versatility at the punt return position. Or kick return position. Same exact skill set. So very similar to Ted Ginn, Dante Pettis. You can kind of see how I'm putting the dots together. And it really makes sense. So that's why I believe New England Patriots are also a choice for landing Dante Pettis' services. They also gave him a formal combine 60-minute interview when he was coming out of the 2018 NFL Draft as well. All right. Not to mention, Mick Lombardi, who is now with New England as the team's wide receivers coach, can make a call to San Francisco since he worked for them from 2013 to 2016 and say, hey, look, man, just like the Eagles would do if they were trying to have some interest in Dante Pettis, they'd be like, hey, can you give me the lowdown on Dante Pettis? Like, what's going on with him? Yeah, did he still have it? Yeah. Did he lose any speed? No. Can he return? Yeah, he can return. Okay, cool. Let's make the deal. Make that phone call, Belichick. Let's go. All right. So that's all interesting stuff, right? Connecting the dots. All right. Last but not least, we have the AFC frontrunner and my Super Bowl pick, the Baltimore Ravens. They're making power moves all day long. GM Eric DeCosta is a top 5 GM in my book, probably in the top 3. There's not too many in front of him. I would put Steelers GM Kevin Colbert in front of him, but maybe John Schneider, but not too many in front of him, all right? So why do the Ravens need Dante Pettis? Well, outside of Hollywood Brown, the wide receiver 2 hasn't done much either. So all these 3 teams that I'm noting there's a need at wide receiver outside of the WR1, right? So why would they bring in Dante Pettis after signing Dez Bryant? Well, Dez Bryant hasn't played football in 3 years. And when Dez Bryant hasn't played football in 3 years, you really don't know what you're getting. Are you getting damaged goods or are you getting a player that was? We really don't know. If you remember Dez Bryant, if I remember correctly, I think Dez Bryant was on the Saints practice squad and then got hurt, right? And then that was it. So we really don't know what we're getting with Dez Bryant, but what we do know is we're getting a veteran leader presence in that locker room who knows how to win games, and he does have big playability inside the red zone. But Dante Pettis brings an extra element because he takes the top off of a defense. Again, deep speed outside the numbers and versatility as a return man. Now you can go back and look and be like, well, they have Devin Duvernay as a return man, right? They drafted him in the 3rd round. That's great, but what if he gets hurt? You need an insurance policy in case Duvernay gets hurt, especially in the Super Bowl window. As you know, as the season prolongs and goes longer, injuries start to pile up over the course of the season. And if you're in a deep playoff run, those are going to happen. We're seeing it already this year, this early on with COVID being the way it is, and everybody has to adapt. What do you think is going to happen at the end of this year? This is COVID year, man. This is COVID injury year. This is what I like to call COVID injury year because you don't have a proper off-season training and players are getting hurt game after game after game, week after week after week. It's just going to happen, all right? So that's why I say bring in Dante Pettis. They also gave him a 60-minute combine interview. And Ravens been making power moves, man. They traded with the Jacksonville Jaguars twice already, once for Calais Campbell, and now they just traded for Yannick Ngakoue. So they're making power moves because they believe their Super Bowl window is now. Great idea by Eric DeCosta to pull the trigger on this low-risk, high-reward move to land Dante Pettis should they choose to do so, because he would bring added value in the return game and, again, aid as an insurance policy and a deep threat for Lamar Jackson to take the top off of secondary safeties. Whew, that's a lot to say, right? Man, that's a lot. But that's pretty much it. I hope you liked what I had to offer. Again, the three teams, or my top three teams, who I see the 49ers likely being trading partners for Dante Pettis' services, include the Philadelphia Eagles, the Baltimore Ravens, and your New England Patriots, who, by the way, play this week. So, Dante Pettis, don't pack your bags too soon, man. You may be staying there. All right? Well, that's it for me. Hope you liked what I had to offer. Dante Pettis trade value rundown by the BEASTwriter is concluded. I hope you had a fun and safe, happy Friday, guys. I'm about ready to get my workout in. BEASTwriter, out.